So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
I am Field Cate from Fencer.
We're asking some questions today about their upcoming self-titled album, so congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Pretty good. I mean, it's nice to finally have this announced. We've been really there's been a long period of us working on this and not putting out new music. So it's really nice to kind of announce it finally and be able to talk about what we've been doing alone in our little lockout studio for the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, you guys have actually been on my radar since probably 2020. Okay. Because you guys were like working with Tate at one point, and that's when I found out about you guys.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah. I've been sitting here patiently waiting. So it was nice when your team pitched you guys to us. I was like, oh, there's a record coming finally. Let's do it. Hell yeah. This album's great though.
Time. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Well, I mean, it's just self-titled. I think right now the reasoning we did that, and I know that's, a cliche thing a lot of artists do, but this record was just so us through and through. Like, while we're still independent, I mean, we produced the entire thing. We engineered the whole thing. We have a guy mixing, but we've just been unbelievably involved with the entire mixing process for like every single decision. Obviously all written and performed by the three of us. And it felt like our first record while we're still independent, that is just our creation for our discography. We were like, this would be a good one to just kind of get the self-titled name out of the way. Because it's Fencer, right? So,
and it's bound to happen at some point that you're gonna go self-titled.
Exactly. And I mean, some people don't do that, and that's totally fine. I just thought it made sense for, because when I talk about this album specifically, it's like, well, this was just us. It was just us sitting there for a few hundred hours, just making this just by the three of us by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of that. The artwork is slightly related to one of the tracks on the record, which is called Couch. And that is going to be a single dropped in the near future. I think we were doing a photo shoot with this lovely photographer named Heather Coop. And that was one of the shots we got of this kind of little area we designed with my guitar, which is very instrumental to our sound, the only guitar I use, and it's pretty unique looking, really matched our aesthetic. I don't know. We had that shot, we cut it into a square, and it felt right. It felt like a cool kind of nod to the record and just very aesthetically pleasing to us. So that's kind of where it came from.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah. So I think generally I will kind of come in with some ideas or some rough structures or just kind of melodies and stuff. And we usually go in and flesh it out. I do all the lyrics. Our drummer, Cameron, who engineered the whole record, he brings a lot of guitar riffs in too. And some of them will inspire something and then kind of go from there into a song. Mm-hmm. I mean, we come up with a lot of song names before the songs exist, and they often inspire a song out of it. He has come up with some really great ones, like the opening track on the record, Come On, Keep Screaming. Mm-hmm. He mentioned that to me once, and I was like, that's sick. And it kind of became this track. I would say that is one of the most instrumental songs like on the record as far as like the direction everything took, because we share writing credits. The whole album's written by us, but that one specifically was one of the first tracks we did. And it was just like such an equal process, and it felt really good. And it just kind of felt like the way we want to introduce ourselves. So I think that continued through the last year and a half or so. I mean, there's of course like a lot of really old tracks we have in our discography that never got recorded. And a lot of them we decided to not go ahead and do because they're older and we wanted to kind of show and represent where we're at right now. I think there's a lot of diversity on the record too, as far as our kind of genre bending and stuff. Obviously, you know, we're a rock band, a garage rock, pop rock, whatever you want to call it. But to us, it was super cool to just write whatever came and see how it flowed in, you know, in order with the other songs that ended up being on the album. So,
oh yeah,
sure, makes sense. So, what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Oh, it took longest to write. Let me think really quick. I'm thinking about the track listing. Probably maybe the final song, Bad Bet. I think that was a pretty lengthy process that was kind of in the works for like the entire cycle of making the record.
Oh wow.
And just lyrically and melodically there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot going on in my life personally, and I kept trying to want to relate it more to that and capture really this idea of what that song was about. I would probably also say that's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite song we've written. I think it's really special to me. And apart from that, definitely Come On, Keep Screaming. I mean, that is, I think, our best representation of just doing what we like to do as far as songwriting with like our kind of aggressive sound. And then Bad Bet, which is also ends up being the closer of the album, is kind of the opposite of that and more of our really meaningful, intimate sound. And so those two, I would say, are my my two picks.
Oh yeah. When we're talking about like you guys working on the record, could you give us like a time frame of like when all of this was kind of happening, like recording to finished product?
Yeah, so I want to say it was during the start of the pandemic, probably around May 2020. So the first song I think we finished was Sleep Count, which is on the album, and which is a weird one too because none of us are even super into that song anymore. But it just ended up being the first one that kind of fully came together, and yeah, I think we probably finished all the tracking, engineering, mixing maybe mid this year. Okay. So around a year and a half, couple of years.
Okay.
And we took our time too. We were not being as time efficient as we could be.
Fair enough. So, the reason I asked that is because I was looking at your Spotify and I noticed like there was singles off this record as early as 2020, and you guys were kind of putting them out in 2021. Like, were you guys just kind of finishing songs and like putting them out as singles as it kind of went along?
Yeah, I think originally it was going to be another EP, but like an extended EP that was probably going to be around like 8 tracks. And as we kept going, we decided, I think maybe after those singles, to just make it into a full length, and do our full first album like that. And I think the reason we're including those singles, because we have other songs, we didn't have to, but I like the idea of these tracks being attached to something, like an actual release. And they were in theme with kind of how the entire record was. They were our first self-produced songs. They were made the exact same way every other song on the album ended up getting made. And a couple of them, I mean, Buena and Fish Friend specifically, I mean, we love those tracks, we think. Buena is obviously a cover from the band Morphine, but I think we really kind of rewrote it from the ground up and do a very unique spin on it. And then Fish Friend, I just think it's such a cute little silly acoustic song. And I don't know, I just wanted them to be attached to an actual release. So that's kind of why they're still on there.
Oh, yeah. All right. So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah, I mixed. I've listened to the album like 500 times, but I tried like every possible order. I think we always knew "Come On, Keep Screaming" was going to be the opener, and I think we always knew "Bad Bet" was going to be the closer. And those are two really important things for me. Those like I'm sorry, someone's calling me. Those two kind of the opening track and the ending track of a record, I think they're very important statements essentially. And so I definitely knew that from the beginning, but everything else, it kind of depended on the flow of the album. And that's why I listened to it and tried out so many different track listings. I love the idea of Fish Friend just being smack in the middle, because it's so like, it's the sore thumb, like sticking out in the record of just being so different than everything else. And I really liked being able to kind of make it flow properly with that being just in the middle. It would have been so easy to throw that like near the very end. And so, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of whatever clicked as far as flowing out of one track into the next, and making sure it stays, consistently strong throughout.
Hell yeah. I think putting like the slow track in the middle of the album is always a ballsy move, because one album that I go back to that I love the record to death, but I hate the track listing is Stan and Lennox Pink Elephant. I think that them putting Drink to Drown in the middle completely ruined the flow of the record.
It really did.
But you guys, like, it just kind of worked for you guys. Like, there was no, like, I'm not going to be on here when we talk about the record in February when it comes out or whatever and be like, well, they shouldn't have fucking done that, like, when we're reviewing it. Like, it flowed well. Like, I didn't even really notice it,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, too. I liked that I was also thinking of it because there's another, as far as, you have the beginning track, the ending track, but there's also, if you're thinking of it like a vinyl, there's the mid track, like the flip. And I felt that Fish Friend specifically like made a lot of sense to end the first side, 5 tracks in, it's a 10-track album, the halfway point. And I think Sleep Count is right before it and Sanitarium is right after it. And those just kind of like those bookends on it really flow well. And so I was kind of stoked about that. And then it gets a little heavier again, and then just kind of has its ups and downs throughout the album.
Hell yeah.
Love it. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Yeah, I mean, all over the place. I have a lot of mental health issues and stuff. And so, especially, not unique to me, but everyone during the pandemic had a whole lot going on, and things were more difficult. I was going through this really crazy relationship for basically the entirety of the pandemic, which was like not. It was a mess. It was a total mess on both ends, and made me kind of become really, really manic and not taking care of myself very well. So I was all over the place. I think that's another reason it ended up taking so long. But it kind of worked out because a lot of the tracks are related to that. And I think they, I think that pulled some cool stuff out of it. I think overall, though, yeah, it was in a weird place. But it was, I don't know, it was just something that was part of our schedule to just go into our studio, what we call our Fencer HQ, and just sit down and kind of start recording one instrument at a time. And it just, a lot of the writing happened like while we were recording too. We'd just kind of start doing it, and then as things would happen, we'd just keep experimenting, and that was the production aspect of it. So I was all over the place in general. I mean, I have a personality disorder, take lots of medication and stuff. So but it's fun. It's fun being the front man of this band that is so focused on mental health and kind of playing this persona of somebody who's just kind of a little crazy, because it allows me to just play into that sometimes. And it feels good to have an outlet that where that's accepted more so than like in regular life. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Completely understand. Yeah.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I think it'd be cool to, I guess by yourself with some headphones or in your car or something. However people want to. As soon as it's out, it's not up to us anymore. It's whatever people want to do. I still love albums. I think the reason albums are really cool is because it's like what the artist is putting out as like the project together, right? I think that's the focus. But of course, singles and streaming, that's, a much bigger priority. and that's fine. I think whatever people want to do with the album and whatever they want to get out of it is super cool. I mean, we have some serious album tracks on this album that were written with that in mind of cool. Well, we're not trying to make this, play some of these decisions that we would do if it was a single. So we're just going to have a lot of fun and do whatever we want for some of these album tracks.
Yeah.
And that's not going to click for everyone. I mean, if someone's super into one of our poppier singles, like if you really dig Sanitarium or Junebug or whatever, it might be a more difficult listen getting through a song like Velvet Jet Ski, which has just a part in the middle of it that just sounds wrong. So it's whatever people want to do. But I mean, my preference would always be just kind of by yourself. And I think it's like a 37 minute listen, which I don't think is too ridiculous at all. So
no.
That's what I would say.
All right. Sounds good.
Perfect. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Fuzzy manic opera. That's
there
what we
go.
say all the time. Yeah, it's all over the place. We're like a circus, but like a clown circus, but heavy and kind of melodic.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I don't know, and it's really blue. Everything on it is super, super blue. So, that's kind of that's what I think of when I listen to it. I really like the I don't know, the journey it takes you through. So
is blue your favorite color by any chance?
Yeah, I wasn't.
You spoiled the last question, Lori.
Yeah,
sorry.
Even when we started, like when we decided blue and everything, it wasn't. I would always say that I preferred grayscale colors like black and white and stuff. Yeah. But as this band has become so prevalent in my life, and as I've slowly just phased out everything I own to be blue, and it's like all I think about. Yeah, at this point, it definitely is.
Okay. When we asked the last question, I want you to act like totally surprised, okay? Because I accidentally spoiled it.
Yeah, we have asked it to every single person we've ever interviewed, so it's not stopping today.
No worries.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's my place to say. I think whatever comes up for them is what they should be feeling, and it's very much an individualized thing. I know how I feel when I go through the album. I think there's moments of comedy, of just songs that are just complete chaos and ridiculousness. I think there's a lot of very serious moments and heartfelt stuff going on. So I can't say what I want people to take from it. They're going to take what they're going to take. And I think that's what it should be.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Good answer. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
Let me think really quick. Favorite memory that we made. It's funny because the album was just so much like just the 3 of us in this room for so many hours. So it was kind of hard. You know what it is? On that last track, Bad Bet, we did this throughout the album of trying to include and incorporate as much random like voice lines and things there that we just picked up naturally when recording in the background of things. I think that adds to the theme of it just being self-produced and entirely our own thing. Specifically in Bad Bet, though, I remember we were talking about wanting to even emphasize that more in that song, and I think Cameron put up a couple mics and he was like, all right, let's just ignore them and just like hang out and talk about the album and stuff like that and figure out whatever we were figuring out. And especially in that first chorus of that song, there's some really great, cute little moments. There's some just noises of people slamming doors and Scott going and like all sorts of, and whenever I hear that, it makes me really happy because that was, that's where we were at. That's what was going on. And so that kind of stuff is really cool to me. And that is a memory I think of for sure.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh goodness, we would go. I know Cameron and I would do Cheez-Its. He might do the white cheddar ranch Ridge. I would do the white cheddar Cheez-Its for sure. Okay. We love truck stops, man. That's our favorite. Loves. Oof. Loves was our home. Love that.
You love Loves.
Love
Loves. Or possibly if they have a Carl's Jr. that's open at 4 a.m., which we would hate. We would hate it. It would be awful, but it would feed us and we would still get it quite often.
There you go. That's the way it goes, man.
We have a rule when touring where we're not allowed to get Denny's anymore because we've eaten it too many times and it just makes us sick.
Yeah. I ate Denny's a grand total of once. I got a Beyond Burger and there was like chocolate chips like in my bun. Like whatever grill they had used was they had just done the chocolate chip pancakes, I guess, and never again. I didn't feel very good.
Oh my god, that's great.
So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
I want to say some good curry, some good Thai curry. One, we eat that a lot. But two, I think there's such a mix of flavors and you don't always know what to expect when eating that because I think every dish is very unique depending on where you are. Mm-hmm. And that's something I would say. I can't think of any blue food, so not that something blue thing that would relate to the band. So
yeah, that's fair.
Fair enough. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Last meal would be some kind of sushi. Probably just like an all you can eat of like some really dope nigiri, which is generic sounding, but I love sushi. And drink, give me the strongest IPA you can find. Just a nasty, dirt flavored IPA.
Okay. Nice.
That's disgusting.
Yep.
Damn. All right. That's just you're okay with that for your last drink.
I mean, yeah, that's what I drink. I've developed this taste for IPAs and I love them. So that's I would enjoy it, but the average person maybe would not as much.
Yeah. Oh my god. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Fictional world, probably the world of there's a video game series called Persona, and there's one specifically called Persona 5. I think it's so stylish and cool and takes place in Tokyo, which I've been to Tokyo a couple times and it's my favorite place in the world. And yeah, it would just be cool to be part of like a very surreal kind of I don't know, JRPG video game world.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I have on the I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Whoa.
I would probably say blue.
Yeah.
I think and it wasn't for a long time, but it's definitely become that. It's become more than just like a color though. It's like so much of my identity now. Because the whole synesthesia thing, and it's just such a massive part of the band's image and creative process. And even outside of Fencer now, like you can ask my girlfriend, she hates it. I'm slowly getting rid of any clothing or anything I own that's not blue, just because I want to go so over the top with it. I don't know. It sounds fun and silly and ridiculous. I would love to never be seen publicly not in blue.
That's fair.
Or privately, like you've got a towel behind you that's fucking blue.
Yeah, basically everything. I mean, you know, it's slowly. I recently I have a Switch Lite, but I recently bought another one because they came out with a blue one, and I was like, oh, okay, well, now I don't ever have to use the gray one again.
Perfect.
You solved that issue. Every accessory I have, everything. Yeah.
All right. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, just the album coming out February 3rd. We've got a handful of singles off it now. We put out Sanitarium along with the music video for Sanitarium, which I like a lot, and I don't think enough people saw it. So you should go check it out because I'm really proud of that. And then Joseph Courtney, another song, just came out last month. So yeah, just stay tuned. I think we've got 2 more videos for tracks on the record, and yeah, I got a bunch of shows we're going to announce and a bunch of merch drops and stuff like that. So just kind of, at Fencer Band everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep in touch.
All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for now. This has been Field from Fencer, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.